Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, we're recording another mini episode of Games My Mom Found. I'm Mike Albertin, and who's delivering Christmas with me tonight?
This is Chris Dickerson from the Pretentious Nerds. I'm happy to be back. Gosh, we talked about Lake last year, I think, at this time. So we're back with season's greetings.
It took a bit.
Yeah.
Was it actually? I can't even remember when. I know I published it around January of this year, but we might have recorded it last year. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. It's like it feels like forever, but this is the perfect timing for it. And I'm happy that we were able to come back and kind of do this holiday thing. I mean, nothing is more cozy to me than like playing a holiday themed game, and this is just right up for it. So
It is. And we are here to talk about Lake Season Greeting, which is a DLC for Lake, developed by GMMF. The regular game came out in 2021. This came out in 2023, actually. This just came out last year. So this would have been newish probably whenever we recorded.
Yeah, that's crazy to think. Man, it's not the type of game I would expect to get DLC, much less a holiday-themed one.
God, no. I mean, and so what this is you play as Meredith's father. Meredith is the main character in the first game. This takes place a year before when she takes over for the 2 weeks that you play through the game. And you play as her father, who's working the route for about 2 weeks in December. Is it 2 weeks? Or maybe it's only a week, or maybe a week and a half. I don't know.
I think it's like, I will get in semantics, but yeah, it's like a week and a half, 2 weeks. I wasn't counting.
It wasn't. No, I wasn't really either. I just noticed, like, I knew where it was going to end because I'm like, I assume it's going to end on New Year's. Like, that seemed like what it was going for.
Classic, yeah.
Which it did. Pretty much the same. It's the same map, the same gameplay. You drive a mail truck, you deliver packages, but the fact that it takes place a year earlier and takes place a different character, it adds a nice, and it's all Christmas theme.
Yeah, like. I mean, I know just obviously just covering the map in snow is enough to really just throw in a different vibe. I love just driving around and seeing the just everyone's, put up the lights. It all adds a cozy feeling to it. Like, and Lake has always kind of been a cozy game, quote unquote. But this is like next level seasonal for me. And just the way there's some like cool tech going on as well with the, sure. But like cool tech going on in the background. Maybe the original game did this, but I noticed how the day progresses as you deliver mail and the way the sun like hits the snow.
Catch that. I think the first game did it, or the main game did it too, but I don't remember because it's been a year.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, like I played this. We're recording right now in end of November of 2024, 11/25, and there wasn't snow on the ground, but this was just like I wanted there to be snow on the ground. Like it snowed a little bit here, and I'm like, I just want there to be snow. Like, I had to play this game with sound because I just wanted to hear the music. I just wanted to be in the atmosphere. Like, it was something really nice about it. Like, I had just got done beating God Hand the day before. So, playing this after playing that aggravating game was so nice. Like, I just wanted to drive a police truck and nobody's trying to punch me in the face. And it was just nice. Like, going from a hard game to something that's just so simple and cozy really is it's a hit to the senses, but it was a good hit to the senses. There's nothing to worry about. You just deliver your mail, and I mean this game's like a 4-hour game or so tops. But that's enough. Like it was so nice to go back to it after it. Sometimes you just need that. Sometimes you just need a game that just plays friendly. Like I didn't realize how much I missed the World of Lake until I started playing it.
That's very fair, right? Like Lake is a game that once I finished with it, listen, I love it. I think it's super cozy and super great, but it is a game that is not necessarily stuck with me really deeply. But it's once you hop back into it, it's like riding a bike. You just kind of get into the motions. Mm-hmm. And there's something that's about it, right? Like I think a lot of games, at least personally, a lot of cozy games I can find more on the boring side. But just there's something to delivering mail and speaking to this small Providence Oaks inhabitants and just kind of like learning their weird drama and just kind of like it's the beauty of like nothing really serious is happening, but everyone just has really basic first world problems of like, I don't like this person charging this much for snacks. So
That was a good one. Like,
yeah.
they weren't wrong, but I'm also like, what store are you going to get them from? It is 1986. Amazon doesn't exist. You live in the middle of nowhere. Like, you're paying a premium because you live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. And it's like, there's the beauty. Like you said, you're playing God Hand before this. You're stressed, and you're smashing that controller, just trying to get through those.
I had the urge to smash my Steam Deck. I'm like, what are you doing, Mike? Like, stop it. Like, this game should not be upsetting you this much.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go from that to just like, your biggest problem is someone's overcharging on snacks, right? So it's a whiplash, but it's great. It's just it's a nice palate cleanser. And also, hey, like Lake was always that, but it being Christmas themed, just around this time, it's a great way to get into the holiday season. And I don't know, like there's few games out there, at least off the top of my head, that are just like explicitly holiday themed.
Costume Quest.
That's very fair. That's very fair.
I'm actually playing another Christmas game. Depending on when you hear this, it shouldn't be up. Yeah, I'm not. I don't feel like looking at my schedule, but Ebenezer and the Invisible World, I'm actually about to play. Last year I did Cthulhu Saves Christmas.
Oh,
I always try to find, if I can, I'm running out of games, but a Christmas themed game to kind of like, or a few to kind of put in there. I think it just feels nice sometimes just to have that.
Yeah, it sets you up for the holidays.
There aren't a lot. Like, I mean, I can't think of a ton of Christmas games, but there's a few.
Yeah,
like
right.
Horror games, and you can put anything for Spooktober because there's hundreds of thousands of horror games. But this is just a different because Christmas, like if you're gonna do Christmas theme, you kind of have to have it a certain way. I mean, I did Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge, which is technically kind of Christmas theme. I did it last year, the year before. No, that was last year. That game is not good. But I don't recommend it. But like this was just so nice. Like also playing as a different character, his interaction, like you meet a lot of the same characters, but some are gone. Like they just said, oh, they're on a fishing trip, so he's not here. Or you only interact a little bit with some of them, which was one of my downfalls, that you didn't get to interact more with the video store lady.
Oh, yeah. She's fun.
And the one interaction you have with her is completely not what would happen in 1986, where she talks about how she just broke up with her girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
They would not be telling that to the white mailman in 1986, like
the older, like a boomer.
That was the part where I'm like, this is not like 86 would have still been the AIDS crisis. Like,
yeah,
people were not gonna be open to you like that.
That's very fair.
Like, she would have just said, I mean, especially in the case like where she's coming from California, they're in Washington, like you're never going to meet the other person, so it could just be my boyfriend, whatever. Like, or you just leave it vague.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. She explicitly says, my girlfriend. He's like, oh, okay, and you can either be a dick or be kind. I was kind with everything I said because it just, that's how I play games, and it also felt very fitting for this character.
Of course, that kind of leads into a good point. Is the dialogue options. I don't remember them being like this. Some of them are savage. And did Lake, the original one, have? They did have these kind of.
Yeah, it. Okay. You could be an asshole too, or you could be that way. I think it just depends on when you're playing this game. It's like you don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be an asshole to people. I wanted to be kinder because that's just my mentality.
Totally. And it's not a game that kind of welcomes that sort of mentality, right? It's, it's a cozy game where you can be a jerk, which is funny. And I do, like, some of the dialogue options did make me do double takes of just like, oh my God, you can say that? It's just, you can be super rude. And there are some good ones. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I did choose one or two of them where it seemed to fit. If someone was being a jerk or something, I think I did. Was it Frank who was like stealing the fireworks and not stealing fireworks, but Frank, there were some things where you could just like say like super sassy comments to him. And I took advantage of those where possible.
I think I did too, because he kind of deserved it. He was an asshole.
Yeah. So it's like if I feel comfortable being an asshole to any of the characters, it'd be Frank and oh gosh, there was the one older lady? Wasn't she like a jerk? The
bookstore keeper?
Yes.
The bookstore owner.
Yes.
Yeah, she's kind of a jerk. She sends you books, but like because you have her over for Christmas in this little game, and there's some couple of comments where it's like, oh, you can like, oh, the book I never read the one from last year.
Yeah.
Just showing that she doesn't really know her clientele, or not even clientele, but doesn't know her friends and doesn't care to know. Like, yes, reading is a good thing, but some people just don't read, and you're kind of pushing your thing onto them. It's kind of how I think it's supposed to be taken.
Mm-hmm.
I was still kind because I'm like, that's who I would be. The only person I was rude to was Frank. Because Frank was trying to get you in trouble with him. He's like, I mean...
I know there's some choices that like kind of split how your playthrough, but for me, maybe this was the same just in general, but for me, Frank got away scot-free. He did that for you too, right?
Same. The other guy, I think the game, even though you get choices, I think the game is going to go where the game is going to go. It just makes you have the illusion that you're going to affect it.
It definitely gave me the vibe of like, it could have gone either way, but yeah, I agree with you. It definitely probably was just going to be only one way.
Well, Frank can't get fired in this game because he has to get fired the year later.
Oh, he gets
fired in Lake. Like, this is the kind of game where you could play this first and then play Lake, and it wouldn't hurt anything. It would give you a different experience than it did for us who play Lake first and play this. Because like I was telling my wife about it, she's like, oh, that sounds fun. I'm like, she's like, do I need to play Lake first? I'm like, no, not at all. You could easily play this first and you'll still have a great time.
Yeah, and I think
might have a better time.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would almost be a fun, unique way to experience Lake, right? Because you get the little setup with Meredith and kind of overworking yourself, and them going to vacation in Florida. There's some good setups here, and I think that would be an interesting way to. I feel like no one who plays Lake has started with Season's Greetings, but I feel like that would be a really interesting way to tackle it. And also just in terms of how the story does, in a way, help lead in better into the original by setting up several characters who usually, don't get screen time in Season's Greetings, but are main focuses of the core game.
I mean, because in the first game, you never see her parents because they're in Florida the whole time. You just hear them on the phone. Like, the game knows that you don't recognize who the mother is. So when on the first day, when you deliver a package to the hotel, you can like flirt with the motel clerk. I'm like, why would I flirt with her? I'm like, but then you realize it's his wife.
Yeah.
Like, fun little things like that where I'm like, this is cute. Like, this is really, damn, here we go again, cozy. Like, I don't have a better word. Like, it's just one of those games. But also, like, you have other characters. You see Meredith's childhood friend, but you don't have much to do with her, but you see her.
Yeah.
You see the other romantic options, the lumberjack guy. That's the right word I want to use here. And you see him, and you can talk with him. You can go to the lake with him because, like, well, why not? Like, what else am I going to do?
Yeah.
It's not like there's a deadline in this game. Like, why not do each event that pops up?
Yeah, it's like, you're a mailman, but that doesn't mean you have to get to the mail on time, It'll get there when it gets there.
I mean, it's a small town. There's not that much mail. I was annoyed by some of the repeat lines, but there's one that something about, oh, they'll be grateful unless it's bills. Something like that.
Yeah, oh, my God. Yeah. He does end up repeating his dialogue a bit much when delivering just the regular mail. It's like when he takes off his glasses and looks at it and puts it in. Like, I'm just
elegant writing.
It's like, what are we doing?
That one got me because I'm like, the builds one, I'm fine with it. Because, like, I know if you have a job where you're alone a lot and that's your job, like, you do start talking to inanimate objects and yourself. I used to work at Mall America, and I drove a truck all night and sucked up garbage. And when I first got the job, it was literally just me. Like, there was nobody else working. It's just me for 8 hours just driving by myself with the occasional radio call from dispatch. Like, so so I get it. And you've been doing this job for years. You're going to start talking to inanimate objects. Like, you're going to start talking to yourself just because you need that sound. You need that feeling like you're not completely alone. So I get it.
Totally.
It also kind of fit how he, like, when you deliver a package, he's like, oh, they're not home. They're in Arizona. Like he says about one family, and someone else, he's like, oh, they must not be home. He just drops the package off.
Yeah. And it does add to that small town vibe a little bit of just like, he knows everyone, and that,
I think that's a small town for you. Like I don't live in one. I've lived in big cities all my life, but I feel like that's just the way small towns are. But everybody knows your name.
Yeah, especially in the 80s, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
it's like this is obviously small town, and it's just kind of that. In a way, it almost feels like wistful, if that's the right word. It's just kind of like, oh, this would probably be nice, because it seems like, for all intents and purposes, Providence Oaks is a pretty nice small town. Like, yes, it doesn't have much, but everything is in very working condition. Like the homes are like very nice, set up with pretty good constant electricity. The roads are clean. It's like, it seems like obviously fictional, but a very nice place to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I'd want to be there. And especially during the winter and the snow, it's like driving around the lake. And also just to give props to it somehow, again, there's a magic to lake. Just not being frustrating at all with its extremely slow character animation and walking. The game does not feature a sprint button when you are outside of the vehicle.
No, it does not.
No, you were walking slower than a snail's pace. But for me personally, I was okay with this. I don't know why. It seems like the game has fully enveloped me to where it's like, you know what? If you want to just take your merry time, walk into that mailbox, I don't care. I'm bought into this, and maybe it's because I know the actual game's length isn't going, to be that long, and it's not going to be that, tough or arduous to get through. But there's just kind of like the way everything is set up makes it so I am okay with the game forcing its slow pace onto me, and in fact enjoyed that slow pace.
It's because there is no time limit. There's nothing putting that target on your back to make you feel like you have to be better, or it's not that type of game. So you're able to just relax and play through the game, experience the dialogue, enjoy the conversations, and they do feel pretty real. Like they feel like real conversations between people that live in a small town.
Yeah,
and like it makes sense with this character because he lives here. He's the mailman. You're going to see him all the time. Like it makes more sense than it did with Meredith, and it has a much different feeling to it that I really appreciated.
And in a way, like they're very different in storytelling, but I hesitate to say that Season's Greetings is better than the original Lake, because I do think the original Lake is, I guess, more engaging in story wise. But I kind of tended to maybe enjoy how Season's Greetings is structured a little bit more, because it is a shorter experience. And because of that bite-sized nature, I feel like I was able to kind of get into it a little bit easier. Just kind of knowing it's like, oh, this is only going to be so many days, and the pace of the overall things that are happening does go by quicker. So, things are brought up and brought to a conclusion relatively quickly. And I think that small, combined with that smaller pace, really made me enjoy it even more. And so if I could never in my life, no offense, I could never replay Lake Classic. Could never. It's a one-time experience.
No, that's fair. It's not that type of game. Like, and there's nothing wrong with a game having you play it one time, you enjoy it, you have fun, and you never come back to it. That's fine. I mean, especially when if you bought this at release, you paid $20, like, or if you bought it on sale like I did for Steam, you got it for like, $5 or $10. Like, that's, there's nothing wrong with a game being a one-time experience.
Exactly. But I do see myself, I could hop back in the truck once a year and, go through Lake Season's Greetings. In a weird way, I find myself more open to that because it is a shorter adventure, and there is something, again.
It's Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and this goes back, I know there are other Christmas games, but it's like I really don't know how many games for me, like, have this kind of that holiday, that Christmas themed vibe where it's like you're driving past lights, and they're definitely Dead Rising 4 came off the top of my head for some reason, a game I despise, but that is a Christmas themed experience, but it does not, it's set during Christmas, but it doesn't feature the joy of Christmas or any sort of that cozy vibe that comes during the holidays. It's something. Christmas, for me at least, is a vibe that I absolutely love, and it only happens once a year. It's that time after Thanksgiving to December 25th where it's just kind of like, even if it's not snowing, it's just kind of like, hey, it's cold outside, Christmas is coming, and then like just it feels a little bit more peaceful. And an action game like Dead Rising 4 isn't going to go for that experience, but Lake is attempting to be like that, and I think it succeeds very well.
I guess the key question here: have you ever worked retail?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, so
a long time. For a while, I did about 3 years.
Same. So I mean, I've been out of it now for 3 years. So I look more fondly on it because I used to work at FedEx and shipping for 5 years after my retail. I worked in a FedEx office, but I still had to help. So it made me like Christmas less. But now that I'm divorced from it, and it doesn't mean like, oh, hey, you're working 6 days a week and you're working, 10-hour shifts. Like now that that's not a thing, I'm like, I really enjoy the holidays. And my wife used to work at Kohl's, and she loved and hated the holidays. And now that she's out of it, she's like, yeah, this is nice. Like, it's such a good feeling when you can finally, cut that out.
Yeah,
retail bullshit.
I worked at GameStop and I worked at Target in my lifetime in terms of retail. Obviously like big box store and then GameStop. GameStop,
Ugh.
There's a lot of horror stories, and yeah, they're all true.
Oh, I know. What years was it? Like, was it during the good times when they were actually still profitable, or was it when they
It was
went crazy?
2017 to 2018. So,
starting to go downhill.
Yeah. It's, things weren't great back then, but there was enjoyment to be found. I mean, I was super part-time at GameStop. Like I had my second job. I mean, they didn't pay anything. It was basically
they pay like crap.
Yeah, it was a hobby job anyway. But, I had a good time there with the little bit I did. And yeah, I still had that cozy vibe. I think Target is where, you start questioning your existence around that time. But I'm gonna be honest with you, maybe I was just like crazy or whatever, but like I had my shift at Target during the holiday was 3 o'clock to 12:30. I'll be honest, I had a good time. Like I could not do that now. I'd shoot me, but
it takes a special.
Then, yeah. This is back then. There was that vibe, and I really liked the Christmas experience, and I loved everyone I worked with. So yeah, no, retail is really kind of the experience. It's rolling the dice as to what kind of world you end up in when depending on your store and everything. But I look back at my time at Target fondly, at least that part, specific time of Target, because I'm no longer there for obvious reasons.
I worked there too.
Oh yeah.
I did not have a great experience, but I was also I worked during the recession in 2009.
Interesting.
Or 2008. I was there around that time when everything crashed.
Interesting. How was that?
It wasn't great when they're like, yeah, we're just going to get rid of your job, or we're going to fire you for a fake reason because we just don't want it. We don't want that position anymore. So that part wasn't great, but Christmas was fine. I was in charge of electronics. I remember being excited during that time and like, oh, I get to do this and set this up. Like I remember liking it.
Yeah. That's the thing. I was in charge of the front end, and I enjoyed kind of having a leadership role there, I guess you could say. And during the holiday season, the hustle and bustle, I liked, maybe it's just consumerism, but it was just something nice about everyone being out and kind of, I guess I'm weird. It's like Black Friday is one of my favorite days just because I get to go out and go shopping. It's a vibe. Everyone's out, and I like that experience. Yeah.
I'm not going this year, but for a lot of years, before COVID, I would go when I got off work. I always work night shifts. I would end up going to like a Walmart and just go browse their DVD, what are left in games, and see if I can find any good deals. Like I miss that because it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, totally, man, dude. I used to have for like 10 years. I went to Best Buy every Black Friday and picked up a movie or two because they had amazing sales. And then the last few years, nothing.
No, I mean everything is. I just went digital at this point. So
yeah, so. But
that's what I think of when I think of Christmas. So I don't. And that's what makes this game special, is that it puts you in that mindset. Like I would have rather played this. I know I do the schedule, but I want to get it done. Played this a little bit later, like let's say here the second week of December.
I almost agree with you. It's like I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I'm close because Thanksgiving is in a couple days. Like we're already almost at Christmas time. Like we're getting close enough, and I wanted this recorded ahead of time so I could just don't have to worry about it because that's how I produce the show. But
totally.
It's that kind of game where like I agree with you. I probably won't, but I could see myself wanting to go back to this some years later and December. It's like, yeah, I'm going to play Lake Season's Greeting again just to have that Christmassy vibe and feel good, because I played this game for 3-4 hours. I played it in about a day and a half or 2 days. It wasn't very long, but it was just, I had fun. Like, it was just a nice little experience delivering mail. Like, there is a fast travel option that you can do a little bit. You can also have the car auto drive you, which I never did. I'm like, no, I want to drive myself.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
It's there, but I knew about the auto drive. I didn't know about a fast travel, but I'm watching a speed run, and there's a it looks like there's a fast travel that he uses sometimes.
That's very funny. There's a speed run.
Oh yeah. Hour and a half.
I love it. Oh, speed run delivering mail.
Because the only way you can speed run this game is essentially just parking closer to the mailbox if you don't have to walk as far.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all the tech is, and then going through the dialogue quickly. And I did notice there's some glitch where he's sliding across, so he's moving a little bit faster.
That's great. God, I love that.
People speedrun every single game because somebody's like, hey, if no one's doing it, I can be the world record.
That's very true. And it's just like finding the glitch for Lake to, like, he's gliding slightly faster, so his super slow walking animation is like, oh, he's slightly less slow, but that means he's Providence Oak's best mailman.
I mean, and it's really just how do you line yourself up with the mailboxes, and then there's certain spots that you can teleport to, and that's also what they're doing. Which to me takes away from the game. But
yeah. It's crazy to me that I didn't realize there was a fast travel either, but like it is not a big map. Like, you are crossing that map very quickly. So, which is also funny. And man, to be honest, that mail truck, the speed gets up there sometimes. It can get pretty fast.
I did run into one glitch where I got out of my mail truck right when a car was passing me, and the car hit me, and it just pushed me along down the street, and I couldn't get off it until he came to a stop.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, so you're like halfway across the map, and all you can do is like slowly inch back to your car.
Thankfully, it was just like it was in the residential section, and he just took me down the block, and then he stopped at a stop sign, and I get off the car.
God, that's not a bug. That's a feature.
Yeah, I mean, I just can imagine if that would have happened to me on the circle where they don't need to stop. I would have been like, well, we're just going to reload wherever the hell. I ain't walking all the way back to my truck.
Yeah, you're at the other side of the map at that point. Like, you're at the motel, and you got to get back to the.
Oh,
that's great. Oh, that's like a charm, but. Like, just going real quick to the cozy thing is like my dream. Honestly, I will boot Lake Season's Greetings back up this year under one condition. It needs to be snowing outside. If it's snowing outside, this game is going on immediately. And I'm just doing the endless mode and delivering mail for a little bit, because that's like, we had where I live, we had snow about like last week, and it was just a light dusting, but it's just like I crave that, like, that coziness feeling of, like, I mean, you know, I don't know if you experienced this as a kid, but like when I was growing up, and it'd be like a white Christmas or anything, just like getting up in the morning and like there's snow outside on the trees, and just like you're just inside playing your games. And honestly, like Lake Season's Greetings is so close to letting me relive that special memory. It just needs to be snowing outside. But that's something I can't really say about any other game. You know, it's like I'll have, you know, Lake Season's Greeting is far from my favorite game I've played all year, but it'll be one that I will want. It gets the closest to experiencing a feeling that I have not had since I was a child.
It does capture that, which is not a lot of games do that. And the endless mode, I could see that being nice just to pick up and deliver mail for a couple days in game and be like, okay, I'm done. Like, I got my experience, because the music is nice. They have the same tracks from the first game.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
And they added a couple more.
They got more off the. I looked at the credits. They got them all from Epidemic Sound, which is that, you know, for, like, you pay like a subscription fee and then you get access to a bunch of sounds. So like they're using. By all means, not a criticism at all. It's just very funny that they're like, you know, they're using a sound service, which obviously most developers do, but using like vocal tracks as a part of your, you know, video game is fun. And that's like, I imagine, you know, if I was making a YouTube video and I subscribed to Epidemic Sound, I would use Witchcraft to learn my song.
I like that song. Like, I know we complained about it, I think, in late. in the first lake, but like hearing it again after it's been a year, I actually had a big smile on my face. I completely forgot about Witchcraft. I forgot the song. I forgot the fact that it plays. And then as soon as I heard it, I'm like, yeah, I kind of missed this.
Yeah, same. It's this weird, like, I had totally forgotten the existence of this song, and it's that memory of just like, oh yeah, Witchcraft, and it's like, I would, I wouldn't go as far to say I would listen to it on my own time, but I appreciate that the way I saw it, and like, there's the Season's Greetings, there's the part where you go to the motel and the newscaster cameraman,
yes,
and the guy and the girl, and like he's singing Witchcraft in the back, and it's like, to me, that's the developers acknowledging the fan base. Like,
yeah, and it was cute, like, and it also fits. Like, you're in a small town in the middle of nowhere. Like, the radio stations they probably get aren't going to be much. There's not going to be a lot of songs that are in circulation, but it's just what you have because there's nothing else out here.
Yeah, exactly. And you're just gonna love those 5 songs as they go back, and they're not bad. They're enjoyable. It's like, sure, if the game lasted 10 hours, you'd probably go insane, but for the runtime that it does have, it never like ached me or frustrated me. I honestly, like, every time Witchcraft came on, I was like, all right, let's go.
Same, because there's also a few Christmas songs. There's other stuff happening, so it doesn't overwhelm you. I think maybe as it did more in our first playthrough of the actual game. Like, it didn't feel that way in this playthrough at all. But I think because there was more than 2 songs. So there was other stuff that was going on that I would hear. I do like the stuff with the reporter and the 2 other people. Like, I think that's fun how the reporter turns out to be an asshole at first and then kind of gets better because he's having a bad day. His car broke down. They're supposed to be somewhere else and they're stuck in this small town. Like, it makes sense that you're going to react in a maybe a meaner way because it turns out he's kind of a bit of an asshole anyway, but like his car just broke down. Like, yeah, he's upset. Like, I get it. My car just broke down today too in my garage, but I was upset. Like, I get it.
You can relate.
So, like, it's just one of those things where, like, you shouldn't blame him because he was a little bit irritated. Like, he apologizes the next time. He's like, I'm sorry. I was, having a bad day. Like, my car broke down. We're stuck here. I don't know what to do. Like, supposed to be in this other town. We got to shoot this. Like, I'm a little upset. Like, legit, you're trying to do your job and then the vehicle don't work. And it's not like you can be like, I'll just call on the cell phone and have them send someone over. Like, no, there's no cell phone. I mean, yes, you're at a motel, you can then call, but it's not the same. Like what we would do now.
Yeah, and that, I don't know, that adds to that 80s, feel adds to it, in my opinion. And it's like something that I, obviously getting transported back into time a little bit. And it's nice to have a game where there is no like cell phone option and everyone just kind of communicates by just speaking to each other and landlines,
I don't miss it because I was born in 87. I do not miss that type of life.
Sure, very fair.
But I get it. Like, there is, here we go again, a coziness to a fictional version of that time. Fictional. Yes. I don't want to go back to the 80s. I know this country does. I do not want to go back to the 80s. But I think I'm going back to the 60s. But there's just a feeling to it that in a fictional world, there's something nice about not having cell phones. But in real life, I think a cell phone is a wonderful, wonderful tool. And I love social media. I mean, hell, what I do wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the internet and it wasn't for the way the world works. Like, I mean, I would be a little pirate radio station sitting in my basement, like, oh, I'm broadcasting to the 100 people around me that can get this signal if you care. Yeah. Like,
it's I can't think of the right word, but it's a fantasization of like, this time that at least I certainly did not experience growing up, being in a super small town, but it's like this idea we have in our mind of like, oh, look at this, everything is so much simpler. Everyone just kind of talks to each other like face to face, and no one's really distracted by anything. No one's yelling at each other over the phone or on social media. Really, the only access to the outside world that this place has is the TV, and its radio station. That's your outside news. Otherwise, you're pretty cut off from everything. And it's like there's a beauty to that, and I understand wanting that desire to kind of just be like, hey, I'm in my own world. It's Christmas and, no one else is going to bother me. And it's like, obviously I could just turn off my phone and then never turn it back on until January. But it's like, that's not, realistic,
No, and you would miss out. Like,
yeah.
People will complain about social media, but I personally love social media.
Same.
Because I wouldn't interact with 1% of the people that I talk to if it wasn't for social media.
Yeah.
Like this podcast. Like, it wouldn't exist without social media. That's how, and that's become such a huge part of my life. Like, you just can't let it. Like, if there's let's say there's something going on in the news cycle that I just don't want anything part of, I just don't look at news. I don't put myself in that negativity. I just enjoy hearing people talk about video games, and other things. Like, I don't want to be like, if there's nothing I can do about it, I don't want to be a part of it when it comes to news. Like, I stay away from it because news is just negative a lot of times. So I get that.
That's been my recent goal, is to stay off the news cycle because it stresses me out too.
I uninstalled Twitter for
I will.
Good reason. Early November, I uninstalled it.
I will be, instead of plugging a Twitter, I'll be plugging a Blue Sky. So
my Twitter still exists. I didn't deactivate it. I just uninstalled it so I won't look at it again.
Same. Oh yeah, I still have my accounts. I don't go on it, but I get notifications still from so I can keep up on my gaming news and stuff. That Blue Sky still isn't quite there yet, but it will be.
See, I had to leave Twitter because the only notification Twitter gave me were far right-wing stuff. And I'm like, why?
Oh, no.
And it wasn't like I wasn't subscribed to any of these channels. I just didn't do a good enough job of blocking everything like you have to with Twitter, because I was getting Elon Musk tweets at one point constantly. I'm like, why? But then I realized, I found out that he put an algorithm through that all his tweets showed to everybody.
Yep, that was my first. When I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, block.
It's like,
oh, absolutely not.
And it's all because Joe Biden got more tweets at one point for saying the same thing that Elon Musk said, and that's where that comes from.
Yeah, don't worry, he'll be running our country. So it's great. Anyway, so I wish I could go back to a time that doesn't exist, where I am out in the middle of the woods with electricity, with a beautiful house within a beautiful town that seemingly has all the amenities you need. But obviously it wouldn't be as glamorous in real 1986.
No.
But Lake does trick you into believing that this world, that you can step into it, and more so like there are tons of games where you're stepping into a fantasy world and getting to explore this beautiful, vast, open, fresh new environment. But there's nothing like, stepping into 1985, Washington State out in the woods. It's a different vibe. It's a different vibe, and one that I want to go back to. So.
Like, one thing that this game had that I did laugh a bit about, like the stuff with Frank we were talking about earlier, where the boss who fires him in the regular game shows up here and he spends 3 days trying to find Frank. And I'm just like, the fact that you can't find Frank at the job that he's supposed to be at and being paid for, isn't that reason enough to fire him? Like, he's not at work. I mean, he is at work, but he's not really at work. He's hiding out in a cabin at one point.
Yeah. Well, I love that when you just go up to, it's like, what am I delivering mail to? Like, that is something, okay, sorry, tangent, but like, that is something I really wish in a Lake 2 that does not exist. I would want scenes like that to happen more often. And they do a little bit in the original Lake, but it's like, I love kind of looking at the map and being like, what the hell? Like, where am I delivering this mail to? And like, you just kind of start walking. It's like, wait a minute, this cabin? Like, okay. It's like, it's the game throwing you a curveball. And yes, it's something that lasts like 15 seconds and you're done. Yes. But it's such a, you've just spent the last like hour delivering mail to like houses, that when it throws you a curveball as something as simple as like, hey, go out in the forest and like deliver this mail like parcel to Frank. And it's like, I love that. It's charming. It's weird. It's funny. He's like, trying to, was he selling fireworks? Is that it? Or he's trying to store them? He's
trying to sell them, and he tries to sell them in front of the postal station, and that's why the boss was called, because somebody saw him and reported him. But they didn't know who he was, and I want to be like, no, this is a small town. They knew exactly who it was.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely not the other guy who just decided to dress up in a mustache.
That is funny. That actually works, and the guy's like, oh, I must have been mistaken. I'm like, first thing, you can't just go and fire somebody or even like start what they're doing because somebody said something. Like that's not. You need more proof than that.
Yeah.
You need the person to admit. Well, as I always when I used to work in retail, and I always tell people like, hey, if you get pulled in the office, they start asking you questions, you don't know nothing because if they're asking you, they don't know. So you don't give them that information. Like, you just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
I always tell people that. Like I always will believe that in any job. I'm like, if you're in a situation where they're asking you those questions and you're like, my job is on the line, think about how you answer this. Either play dumb and nothing happens, or eventually just get fired, or be stupid. And because when I worked at a job, I had a guy got fired, and he admitted to a bunch of stuff. And then after the end of like, oh, so how are you going to pay us back those $2,000 you stole? He didn't steal money; he gave people discounts. And it's like, don't open your mouth. Like they don't have anything, so you just play dumb because he's the one that gave them that number. Because people will be like, oh, how about 1,000? No, it's more than that. Oh, it is. Like they'll just let you dig that hole for you. It's like you just don't say fucking nothing. So that's what I can think of with that guy. Like Frank could have been like, oh, I would fire fireworks. You're gonna believe some random guy? Like,
yeah, exactly.
You can't because you don't have proof.
Yeah.
So it's comedy that the neighbor shows up, with a hat on and a mustache.
Definitely threw me for a loop. I couldn't say I saw that coming.
I did not either. And that's the guy that runs the only radio station in town too.
Yeah.
It's essentially a pirate radio station because you can't just run a radio. Even in '86, you couldn't just run a radio station out of your garage. It's not legal.
I love when he's interviewing newscaster and he kind of like calls him out a little bit and frustrates him. That's like
that was funny.
Yeah, and that's kind of like Lake in general has a lot of charm to it, but Season's Greetings is able to like replicate that charm and like do different things with it that I think are interesting. And honestly, the whole reason that you can play and enjoy a game where you are like walking so slow and just slowly delivering mail, it's the world has to be charming.
Yeah,
and it's something that it really has in spades. My
only real like nitpick is you don't go to the movie store enough by force. You only go there once in this game, which I get it. They're like you saw this character a lot in Lake, so we're going to have you see other characters that have more to do with the mailman who's been here forever, with other people that have been here forever. Where but I like that movie store so much.
Oh, it's great.
I was a little sad you don't ever like have to deliver stuff there very often.
I know we talked about it in the original Lake podcast, but we can talk about those movie covers again. And
they're so good.
They're perfect, man. Like they're fantastic. That's like to the point where like there's the trading places. Love Story, when you deliver it to the one person, I cannot remember.
The couple, or the soon-to-be couple.
Yes, yeah.
From the TV station.
Yes. When you go to deliver Love Story to them, it's just like straight up basically the real cover of the real poster of the movie. I just looked it up because I was like, did they like use that exact same like poster? And they basically did, which is very funny. It is like, it's barely legally distinct. I just thought that was funny. It's like the other, and that's what like all the movie posters and stuff, they really go out of their way to have fun with the all the different movie names and everything. My favorite being the Brunch Bunch. Yeah, that's so good.
There's a Gremlins one, but it's like Gremlins. It's Gremlins instead of Gremlins.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just so cute. I know there's a Terminator one, but I didn't look closely enough at it to see what it said.
I have to go back.
I just saw it as I walked out.
Did you see the book store also has a bunch of of the same kind of like parodies and stuff?
I did not examine the bookstore. I just dropped off my packages and left and talked with her forever.
It's worth if you ever back in endless mode, it's worth going through them. There's a lot of funny titles in there. Not as good as the movie ones, but beggars can't be choosers.
No, it's still cool they did it with books. I don't think the bookstore was in Lake regular, so.
Yeah, I didn't think so. That was weird. I was like, I couldn't not remember that.
I don't think it is. I think this is brand new because that character throughout this game you hear that she's leaving, so it makes sense. Like they put her in here, but they get rid of her by the time you get to the Lake. One other thing I want to mention is that I think it's a sweet moment where like they invite the other two neighbors who don't have any family, the crazy cat lady and someone else, for their house for Christmas. Oh, you can pet the cats too, by the way.
Oh,
I didn't do it, but I read that you can pet those cats at her house.
how would you do that?
I guess walk up to it, and I'm assuming one of the buttons just changes to let you pet the cat.
Oh, I didn't even see them sitting down, but maybe that
I didn't either. But something I was reading said they're there. I wanted to stop and pet the fox. There's a fox you see running by the road, but I never did. I thought about it a couple times.
Oh, you can pet that fox?
I don't know. I wanted to find out.
That'd be cool. No, that'd be cool.
So I just didn't do it, but I thought about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to get out of the car.
There's some great dialogue in this, but going back to that moment that you mentioned where they are, they're having the people over for Christmas, and the older lady is like, there's some really mean dialogue options for her. You can just like outright ignore her and just like pretend she's not there, and she just kind of starts spouting, like just saying random things, and I'm like, this is a wild game.
You can be a real dick.
Yeah, it's like you can literally just be like, oh, she's an old lady, don't pay attention to her, and I'm like, man.
I couldn't do it. Even in Mass Effect, I'm not an asshole. Like, I just can't play in games.
Yeah, the sassy comments and the sassy dialogue options, like, Mass Effect, you can just be, well, I guess you can't be evil per se, but you can be like a real jerk.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
You can cause an extinction, at least in the first game, cause an extinction of a race. Like,
that's very fair. Yeah, I always forget.
You do a lot of bad shit.
Yeah, that's very fair.
I don't do it, but I know it's there.
Yeah, Renegade does have some pretty bad things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially like killing the one girl and like having her daughter. God, what's her name? Oh, that's gonna kill me. No, I love her character.
I can't remember. I haven't. I played the whole trilogy, but it's been a bit.
Oh, that's good.
And I never got past one on this show, so I can't speak much to the series.
That legendary edition, you gotta. It's available. It's good.
Oh, I have it.
Yeah, he's like I was a Mass Effect enjoyer when I was in high school. I was a Mass Effect lover after playing that Legendary Edition. It just playing them back to back really kind of like showed me and like reminded me how great that series is.
At some point, they're large games, and
they definitely are.
Drive to go back again to Mass Effect and replay 1 because the episode is terrible, and I had audio issues, and then play 2 and 3 someday.
Yeah, someday.
It's on my to-do list. Everything else. A couple things I want to talk about still. We got a couple things left to mention. I like you have the phone calls with Meredith that you get off and on. I think those are cute. Yeah. Where she can't come to Christmas because she's still working.
She really is a go-getter. I think it really does. In a way, I was like disappointed in her. Obviously, It's like I know how it turns out, but it's like I'm like, dang, like she really is kind of not mean perchance, but like. I guess, like, I get it. I understand it. Like, and even be kind of like, even for her position, it's like, even at my age, it's like, I'm not excited to drive to my mom's, for Christmas or anything. So it's like, I get it, especially if she's working a big job that, worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of crazy being on the other side with the parents and being like, wow, I'm kind of disappointed in with you, Meredith. So maybe I see what my mom feels.
It was just a cute little moment, and it has more to do because of the fact that we played Lake first, so we have more connection to her. You have the stuff when they get the phone call to win the sweepstakes, and she's like, the guy's like, it's probably a scam, and I'm like,
that was great, yeah.
Because that's how people still are. Because I work on a job where I talk on the phone all the time, and I've had multiple people go like, you can tell they think I'm a scam, like, and that's part of my job. Is like, no, we're not. Like, I'm real. Like, don't worry.
Yeah.
So I get it. It's that same idea. And I just thought it was cute. And the guy's like, no, you really won. We'll send you the stuff. We'll send you a check. Like, it's real.
Yeah.
And I know from Home Scam where they send you a check to go buy a computer and stuff or buy anything. It's completely fake.
Yeah.
It's one of the scams. You deposit the check, and then I'm not sure how it works exactly, but they want you to deposit the check, and then it turns out it's fake. There's one of those scams out there.
Huh. And there's the chain letter scam.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was a fun little like random moment. It was just like I don't know what she ended up deciding to do. I don't know if I made the right dialogue options for her not to do it.
I told her not to. I'm like, yeah, that's a pyramid scheme. I'm like,
yeah,
this is kind of funny that they put that in this game.
I mean, how many games are there where you can try to stop an old lady from getting scammed?
Not many.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, Lake is a unique experience.
You have a small poker scene when the bunch of the guys are all playing poker one night. That's another cute scene. That's when they're all talking about how Frank is wanted by his boss and the curtains are closed because he's hiding because he's being stupid. Like,
did you hear the part where like Frank was like talking about his boss and like he was beating up dogs and stuff?
Yeah, and he makes it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, like we gotta stop this guy. And it was like, oh, I'm just joking. I'm like, all right, Frank, I'll open up the curtains and let him know you're here.
I mean, it's so stupid because all he had to do was like, yeah, it wasn't me. Like, what proof do you have?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's funny.
But it is funny. Like, I did laugh at it, so I completely get it. And then this game eventually wraps up at New Year's, where you end up having a scene where Frank lights off fireworks and all the characters are there at the diner, and it's just a cute little like farewell to the game.
Yeah, it did really feel like that. You know, it at the end of it, it felt like not only an ending to Lake, Season's Greetings, but an ending to Lake in and of itself.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me sad, which did not expect, I guess. It's like at the end of the day, Lake's one of the more charming little games that I've played in my time, and I'll maybe not remember it, forever, but I'll always have like a fondness for it, and just kind of like looking back to it, it's like, yeah, that was a cute little game. And I felt that way about the original like pretty strongly, but now specifically with Season's Greetings, I felt my fondness for it only grew because, yeah, I mean, like we said, how many like Christmas games like this are there?
Not many.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, this is one until another Christmas game can come out and win it for me. This will be the one.
I'll let you know how Ebenezer goes when I play that here soon. The Metrovania.
That I've heard of that. That's right. That's right. I forgot that came out recently, right?
It came out last year.
Oh God! Oh my God! Time.
I'm playing a game that came out only a year ago instead of what I normally do, so it's gonna be weird. Like, same with this. I didn't realize this just came out last year.
Yeah, that's like they really like went to ground for 2 years and made like I would almost call this like almost like a sequel or a full expansion. It really feels like it.
Oh no, and that's completely fair to say it. It feels kind of like like a sequel.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of changes, but it's still a new game essentially.
Yeah, I would say like half the length of the original one, maybe.
I wouldn't even say half. I would say like it's 3/4 of what the original game is. I think it's not. There's just a little bit less dialogue at times because. Or maybe there's a little less like side quests. I think the other game had you do a couple things that weren't on the actual list. Mm-hmm. This one has like one thing that I found where somebody wanted me to deliver something that wasn't part of my mail routine. The chips.
Oh yeah. Where
he complained, he's like, "This is not how you're supposed to go through the mail because it's not postage." But that was funny.
He's a stickler.
I mean, this is his job.
Yes, that's fair.
I'm sure things would not go over well if you're like,
I'm no mailman, so anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's how I feel about it, I always have this fondness for Lake. And who knows, if it does start snowing here soon, I still have it installed. It'll come back on.
Hey, mine's got to stay installed until my wife someday plays it.
There you go. So it's forced to be on there.
Mm-hmm. I might try to get her to play this one soon when winter comes and the snow starts falling here soon in the month of December. I'm probably gonna here, play this. Like, just have a chill out moment and just play this for 4 hours and enjoy yourself. Yeah,
that's the perfect time. Now that's cozy. That's cozy game.
I think that's all the lumberjack guy you see in one scene in this, well, a couple scenes, but one of the main scenes is you can go ice fishing with him or sit out in the lake with him.
Yeah,
I did do that.
I do like how they do handle. I mean, they really specifically say like, oh, all the characters who are important in Lake do not get much screen time in this. So it's fun to see them, but I do like the focus on like other characters.
Yeah, they did it the right way by not making that, they're like, we want to introduce you to new things. We don't want you just to have what you had, the same experiences.
Yeah.
It is.
I would, I'm very curious, and I'm going to keep an eye. I'm curious what this developer will do next. I hope Lake was successful enough to, kind of put another project in their hands, because I do think they are talented.
I do too. I would like to see more from them. Like, this was just such a nice little experience, and then playing this one was just nice.
Yeah,
so I agree with you. I do hope we get more from them someday.
Any game that can make me happy walking super slowly to a mailbox, is very impressive. So
It is, and it's just so different than what we like. Everything else, there's so many games out there now, and there's so many open, big games, and it's kind of nice sometimes to have a little game.
Exactly.
Just need that sometimes, I guess.
Yeah. No, there's two. Even in the realm of cozy games, like I think we were talking before we started recording, but it's like cozy games to me are a lot of them are very stressful. Stardew Valley is very stressful to me, and maybe that's just my mindset and stuff. But it's like farming sims very stressful because I have a plan and I want to get that plan done. It's Lake forces you to really just your only plan is just driving around at your own pace and kind of delivering mail on your time. And there's just I like that a lot. It's a game that kind of lets you play it how you want to play it in terms of how long you take and everything. And there's not really many goals aside from just getting to point A to point B. And I like that a lot. It's more than a walking simulator, but it's obviously less than a farming sim. But there's a happy medium between like you have your goals and it's fun to achieve them.
I have never played Stardew Valley or any of those games, unfortunately.
Not my vibe. I played it for like an hour and then I saw how long it was going to take me to do anything, and I was like, can't do it. So
I get it. I can completely get it. I've just never given them any time.
Yeah, no, the only farming sim I have really put time into, and you can barely call this a farming sim, was Harvestella. More RPG than farming sims. But yeah,
that's what I've heard. The only one I ever got really into was Harvest Moon on the GameCube. I got into that one pretty good a long time ago.
Oh, the classic. I have it on my shelf.
One of the GameCube ones.
There's the one that everyone played. I assume it's that one. It's like their biggest one that they remade like 2 years ago.
It might have been. I can't remember. The one thing that's always stuck with me. That's how I learned where mayo comes from eggs. Because I did not know that, and then I was like, oh, because you get the eggs from the chickens and you put them in there, and in a machine you get mayo. I'm like, and that's how I learned mayo comes from eggs.
There you go. See, just very educational.
All right. I think we should go to Shelf Stacker Box. And why don't you go first?
All right. Remind me of the criteria again. It's been a while. So shelf, yeah, you can explain it.
Shelf means something you love. Stack means something you like. Box means something you dislike.
Okay. So I would, so shelf is liked, right? You said?
Shelf is the highest.
Highest, yes. Then I would shelf this, man. I would, okay. Yeah, give me the limited run physical edition. Let me put this up on the shelf for all time.
That would be cool. That's never going to happen, but that would be cool.
No. The little limited run collector's edition of Lake. Get a little mail like truck.
I mean, that would be cute. It just would take a year or 2 years before you saw it, right?
Oh, even longer. I'm still waiting on my Persona 4 collector's edition. So
I don't. Yeah, I never order from limited run. I don't order physical anymore. So, but yeah. I've heard.
Yeah, at this point, it's like I gotta wait. I have no choice. I can't say no to a Persona 4 collector's edition in 2024, or at this rate, 2025. So.
Hey, that game is great, so I get it.
Yeah.
Actually, you did that game on the show not too long ago.
Yeah, that's sad I missed it, but I'm glad people appreciate it, and you guys are talking about it today.
We talked about it for like over 3 hours, I think, too, or something like that. It was a long one.
Wow. I mean, it's as long as that game is, you got to talk that long about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a lot to say. I should go next. I'm also going to put this on the shelf. I had a really fun time. It was just such a nice experience. I needed something less stressful and something nice and friendly after what I went through. And it was just the right palate cleanser after God Hand. I'm really glad I got to play it, because I completely forgot about it. So it was a nice surprise.
Yeah.
To have it there for me.
Where would you, in your opinion, kind of feel in comparison to the original Lake? Would you say this is still, would you say this is superior, or would you say the original Lake is still kind of like, I guess, the better experience?
I think the original Lake is still the better experience, but then again, I'm going off memory that doesn't really remember.
The nostalgia.
I mean, it's a year ago, but I feel like maybe Lake was more, but also Lake was a new experience versus where this is new, but not exactly the same.
That's very fair.
So it's a hard one to say. I mean, either way, I enjoyed both experiences a lot. And I'm happy that this exists, and I'm happy that I remembered a year later to do this, because I almost forgot about it. So.
Oh, yeah. No, we made that promise to ourselves. I remember mentioning it a year ago or whatever we played it at the episode. We talked about Season's Greetings, and here we are. Promise.
And I remember when it went on sale, I remember posting in the chat. I'm like, hey, it's on sale. Pick it up. Like we're going to do it. So, yeah.
It's great.
For me, it always feels good to just play games that I said I was going to. I've always been that way. I'm just like, I want to experience the games that I said I would play. And it always makes me feel good to do that.
Yeah, good way to look at it.
So, yeah, I guess we'll just go to plugs. And where can people find you at, Chris?
You can find me not on Twitter anymore. You can find me on Blue Sky at Chris Persona, same handle as Twitter was. But yeah, I post there now, and not like I posted much on Twitter anyway. But I feel fresh. I feel free being on this much more positive social media platform. So yes.
My biggest reason for switching is it didn't reject all my posts. So.
Oh, interesting.
Twitter liked to just reject posts for no reason. And I make the joke that he knew what I said about him.
Honest to God, probably did, because that's how they run their things over there. So
I can see it. All right. If you enjoyed this episode, you can go catch our other lake. The regular lake there'll be in the show notes. There'll be a link to it. So definitely go check out that episode if you didn't hear that. We have over 700 other episodes of this podcast. We do movies, comics, TV shows, games. Go check out our giant catalog. If you want to support the show, we do have a Patreon, $1 a month. You can vote on our Patreon poll. We have 1 to 2 polls a month. So definitely go check that out. We also have Discord. If you want to be on the show, if you want to chat with us, you want to suggest things, join the Discord. I'm always happy having new people join us and chat with us on there. And I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Elena at Hell Has Fear. You can follow her on TikTok and Instagram. Definitely go check her out. And check out A Gamer Looks at 40 with Bill Tucker. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, YouTube, audio only, and rate and review us where you get your podcast. I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Peace.